So welcome back to another episode, and this is a review of the brand new movie Blade Runner 2049. Now, I have my own movie review show. It's called Film Fury. I'll put a link below. Definitely check it out. I also review the movie on there as well, but this is such an important sequel to one of my favorite movies of all time, Blade Runner, that I had to come onto this show and talk about it because Blade Runner has influenced so much in science fiction, in anime, in just so many different ways, that in video games, Snatcher, anyone, that I had to come onto the show and review this movie. I just saw a press screening of it just about a couple of hours ago, and I've been sworn to secrecy, which I would do anyway, so I want to say one thing. This is a spoiler-free review. I'm just going to talk very superficially about the characters and all that, and then if I like the film and why I like the film or didn't like the film. So let's just start off. I've been the biggest Blade Runner fan since I saw the movie 35 years ago in 1982, and since then I bought the VHS tapes, the laser discs, the DVDs, the high definition DVD box sets, just the regular DVD box sets, Blu-rays, this is another high-definition DVD. Here we go with the Blu-ray. So you can tell, I'm a big fan of this movie. I'm crazy. I even read the book on which it was based. Blade Runner completely changed the way I thought about movies and science fiction and all of that, with its crazy depictions of the future, a kind of soulless future Los Angeles, a kind of a detective story. A brilliant piece of filmmaking. I give the movie a 10 out of 10. I've probably seen it 150 times. Like a lot of you out there, I'm sure are huge Blade Runner fans. So the build-up to Blade Runner 2049 has been gigantic. It has been seminally huge. And I must admit, I saw the trailers for this movie, and I didn't quite like the trailers. I didn't think this was really very good. I was like, oh, I don't like the visual style of it. It's not as gritty as the original. Let me just say this. One thing I love about the trailer now in seeing the movie is how much they do not show in the trailer. There's a lot of spoilers. There's a lot of things going on in this movie, and I'm not going to spoil them. I'm just going to talk very generally. How is this movie? How could any movie live up to the expectations that I would have for this? My expectations are huge. It's really, even sitting there in the theater, I was like, oh my God, this is so intense having to see this film. In a way, I almost wished I didn't have to see it. I never thought I'd see a sequel to Blade Runner in my entire life. And here I am, in the year 2017, I just finally saw a sequel. And how was it? It's really good. It's really good. I'm surprised how great it is. And it's one of those movies. I left the theater with a friend of mine. Victor Lucas couldn't make it to the screening, and we were talking about this movie afterwards, and I'm like, we were talking about it all the way home, and we still have a lot to talk about. I need to see this movie quite a few more times. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it's jam-packed with emotion and story and concepts and what it is to be human. What is it to be more human than human? I'm going to use that old cliche from the original movie. How does this live up? Let's get the visuals out of the way. Let's get that stuff out, the superficial stuff out of the way. The visuals live up to the original 100%. I was blown away by some of these visuals. We always wanted to see, more of Los Angeles, but we get to see a lot more, and we get to go to a lot more varying places. And I really enjoyed the locales of these places and some of the visual directions and cues for each individual place. It was very satisfying. And just to see Los Angeles again and see the spinners, the little cars flying through, wonderful. So visually, this movie is gorgeous, and for any fans of the original, you'll be very pleased. But going alongside the visuals, in the original was the music, and we have a complementing music soundtrack here as well that complements the visuals in a very powerful way. There were so many times in this movie I got shivers. I'm even getting shivers now thinking about some of the powerful moments in this film. And there are some powerful moments. There's a lot of moments that you're just like, wow. You know, I was asked not to say anything, and I won't anyways, because I wouldn't want to ruin any of the kind of surprises and some of the really interesting things that this film goes through. And realistically, it's a detective story with Ryan Gosling. Obviously, we see Harrison Ford in the trailers. You know, Jared Leto is in the movie. Sarah Wright is in the movie, and quite a few other characters. And I was blown away by the acting performances in this movie. I thought they were phenomenal. I was completely sold. And let me say, in all the trailers, even Red Letter Media did an episode making kind of fun of Ryan Gosling and how stone-faced he was. Ryan Gosling is phenomenal in this movie. I was completely captivated by him. And do you know the old days when we used to love Harrison Ford? Ryan Gosling is just equally as good. And I was so moved by his character and some of the things that happen. Very powerful stuff in this movie. There's some really powerful stuff, and it's really hard for a movie to top it. But the director, Denis Villeneuve, did an extraordinary job of taking what was wonderful in Blade Runner, but taking it in a very different way. So Blade Runner is its own unique piece of art, but this movie is its own unique piece of art. And I loved the direction he took with this. It's a really different kind of visual style, but harkening back to the original, but doing its own thing, which it needed to. If we just did the same ground as Blade Runner, I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie as much. It tries a lot of brand new things, visually, emotionally, storyline-wise, and it accomplishes that. This director, I already love him as is. For Arrival and Sicario, two wonderful films. So I felt, okay, we're in good hands, but you still don't know you're in good hands until you see the movie. And I was watching the movie, and I think there must have been around, 8 people in the theater watching it with me for the screening. And I had this entire row for myself. And the music and the power, and it's a long film to sit through. It is a long movie. I want to say that. But it accomplishes everything it needs to accomplish. One thing I will say. Do you know how there's all these, like anime shorts and live action shorts that are, about the Blade Runner 2049 universe that are in tune with it? They're on like Crunchyroll and stuff like that, the anime, directed by the director of Cowboy Bebop. I'm going to say something very, very important. You need to see all of them. There's 3 of them before you see this film. They are very, very important to this film. They add to the storyline. That's all I'll say. They're must-watches before you see this movie. And, it's been a few hours now since the movie. I was sitting there when the movie ended, and I didn't even know what to think. I'm like, do I like it? Do I dislike it? You're going through all that emotional thing. It's like when I saw Star Wars Episode 7, I'm like, do I like it? Do I dislike it? It's a return, it's a sequel to Return of the Jedi. Do I like this? And, eventually I said yes. I kind of let loose. And when I let loose with this movie, I realized that this is a worthy sequel. And that's a wonderful thing to say. Is it better than the original Blade Runner? Nothing in my mind could ever be better than the original Blade Runner. That is a movie that is perfection. And I hold it so dear to my heart that I don't think anything could ever be as good. Even if it was better, I'd probably disregard and say, no, it's not better than Blade Runner. This is a very worthy sequel, and it lives up to the expectations of Blade Runner, the original, and it takes us in a brand new direction. And I love it. I really enjoyed this movie quite a lot. High recommendation. And this is another one. Watch it in the movie theater. Watch it in the movie theater. Sitting at home would be good. But the music and being enveloped into this world. It's kind of like one of those things that when I was 8 years old and saw Blade Runner in the theater, I was just transported to somewhere else. I was transported elsewhere in this movie as well. I was really moved, and it's one of those things I'm going to have to watch a few more times. And I don't think I'll watch this movie as much as I watched the original Blade Runner. But we were talking about it afterwards, and we're talking about these different scenes, and we're like, fucking this. There's some really fascinating moments that went down, and moments that are going to take a long time to settle with me. But to be honest, as a sequel, they knocked it out of the park for me. And I can't believe that. I really went in going, oh, it's gonna be a disappointing film. There's no way they can live up. And the thing is they didn't try to live up to the original. They did their own thing and played the right homages to the original. And that's what was beautiful. They took all the moments that were beautiful in the original. I wish I could tell you. Do you know how hard it is to do this review with no spoilers? There's so much I want to gush about and talk about. You know, there's so many emotional moments that are so powerful. And right after the screening, we were told specifically not to talk about any spoilers. Don't speak about, you know, any of these points. And I was walking out and I said, don't worry, I wasn't going to do that anyways. I wouldn't do the disservice of doing that. And I think if you do see the movie, don't ruin it for anybody else. Just let everybody else experience it. I'm so lucky I didn't have this movie ruined in any regard and all of that. And yeah, I can't believe it. Jared Leto, I thought I was going to dislike him. And I actually thought he was quite good. I'm kind of surprised that I liked the movie as much as I did, but I did. It was really a wonderful piece of filmmaking. And this is art. I'm telling you, Denis just knocked it out of the park on this. I mean, the visual, it's not only the visual style, but the visual emotions that he brought throughout the story. Brilliant piece of filmmaking. A brilliant piece of filmmaking, and very moving and very engaging, and one of those things I'm going to have to watch multiple times, and that soundtrack lives up to the original perfectly. So, guys, I got through it without showing any spoilers, and I'm not showing any movie footage, because why the fuck do we need to do that? Just go and see this movie. I give it a high recommendation. This is a 9 out of 10 for me as a movie-going experience, and I was absolutely floored. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So, anyways, guys, until next time.